what we are going to be talking about is what I call pivot. And I talk about pivoting in mindset because everything starts with self-awareness. Mindset, it seems so simple when we talk about it, but there's a lot of factors that go on when we are making a plan or a goal or trying to commit to doing anything. So I recommend that you have a pen and paper ready. There will be some things that you might want to take notes on. And the first question I have for you is, what does mindset have to do with anything except for everything? And if you are stuck in what I call a belief system, it is a cycle, and it can impact your relationships, finances, career, health, weight, environment, your lifestyle, your state of well-being, your opportunities. And when you can figure out how to really get clear on what's holding you back and release it, things start to flow. Things get a lot easier because belief systems make it a lot harder than it needs to be. So in 2018, I had released a workbook on how to create your ideal life, and it's called Pivot from BS. Now, I know what you think the BS stands for because it's standard. The reason I use this acronym is because when something is said and you relate to it, it becomes your automatic. That is a symptom to what the cause is. So belief systems is what BS stands for in my world. A lot of people get focused on the symptom rather than understanding the cause. And without understanding the cause, you get stuck and it becomes a cycle, kind of like a hamster wheel. And when you focus on the cause, then what happens is you can create change, and change leads you to new places. So the very first thing that you do when you have to pivot is you have to make a decision. Nothing starts without having a clear decision. And to decide, you have to know, who do you have to be? What do you want? Where do you want to be? When do you want to accomplish it by? And really, what is your why? Because without connecting to your why, you don't have the passion that you need to get to where you want to go. The problem is, when you are trying to make a decision, there's two parts to it. There's your logical and there's your emotional. Now, logically is where we think, and it's where we connect to the idea. The emotional is where we actually start to engage. Have you ever tried to do something where it seems like a good idea, you just can't get motivated? That's logical. When you decide something from emotional level, you become unstoppable. And you always want to go to the emotional, because once you become unstoppable, that's where you really engage, and you can't get emotionally attached to something without a why. So today, what are we really going to cover? We're going to uncover the very first part of the mindset is self-aware. And it's the 5 biggest mistakes that professionals make when it comes to self-awareness. So again, with think, we're going to work with the mindset. We're going to get to the self-awareness because it is the foundation of everything. The problem is, when it comes to self-awareness, we have about 70,000 thoughts rattling through our brains, and it's what we are actually thinking about. And if you took time to pay attention to those specific thoughts, you would understand that they're not really productive. Most times they're destructive. And what we want is usually the amazing things in life. But if you pay attention to your self-talk, it's usually spent beating yourself up. And when you're doing that, you're not creating momentum, you are creating destruction. In 2015, my dad had been diagnosed with cancer. Our family was at the hospital every single day. There's nothing worse than watching a loved one die. And I was working for a company that 8 years prior had cut my wages by $40,000. I was a single mom, bills were piling up, my heart was broken, and I hated everything in my life. Everything sucked. And I woke up one morning and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is exactly how you want life because this is what you're committing to every day. The next thought was, like hell it is. And so, what are you going to do about it? Well, I went to work, I updated my LinkedIn profile, and I went about my day. What I really wanted was I wanted to be able to work from home doing what I'm doing now and getting the same income as what I was making, just so that I would have time to work on my personal business and spend time with my dad. That's what I really wanted. 3 days later, I got a call from somebody and he said, hey, Kalinda, I know you don't know me, and I am willing to do whatever it takes. I don't know how much you make, but I'll double your wage and I'll let you work from home if you're willing to come to work with me. I thought he was lying. This has got to be the typical BS. And so I had been in communication with him for about 2 weeks. I wrote 5 pages of questions because it didn't matter what he could do for me. I needed to know what he was going to be able to do for my clients. And he wasn't lying. So I ended up leaving my job and I took that position. But it's what I actually wanted. You have to be really honest with yourself because what your life looks like today is what your self-talk is doing on the inside. You're getting exactly what you're ordering at the restaurant of life. If you don't like it, we need to make a change. Make sense? So there's only 2 ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other as if everything's a miracle. And a lot of people spend way too much time living under your glass ceiling. What the hell is a glass ceiling? A glass ceiling is what you believe you deserve. And the moment you get over that, something in life is going to happen to pull you right back under. Have you ever got a bonus from work and then got a stone chip and so that you had to fix your windshield and it sucked up the bonus, or you getting a little bit of extra money from somewhere and then your tire went flat and you had to do car repairs, or something broke in the house? It's because you only believe you deserve so much. And once you get over that, that excitement is something that you're not used to. So you have to suck back under your glass ceiling, and it sucks. So after I ended up taking that job, I decided I needed to spend a lot more time focusing on what I really wanted. And it was super cool because in 2017, my life was nowhere close to what I could even imagine it to be. This guy here, his name is Andy Andrews. I almost died from anxiety disorder in 2009, for those of you that don't know that. And this book, The Noticer, actually changed my life. It's about perspective, and my anxiety reduced by 80% just by reading that 160-page book. I wanted to meet this guy so damn bad, but I ended up getting to fly to Nashville. He was my business mentor for a little while, and I got to fly to Nashville and actually meet him and have supper with him in 2017. I ended up having my own podcast. Who the hell thought that was possible? I was just some person that sold cell phones, and I ended up having my own podcast for a little while. I mean, I wrote 2 books, and it was just things that I never thought were possible that became possible because I decided that's what I wanted. I became emotionally attached and I became unstoppable in some areas. But those accomplishments were nothing. When you're doing things from a place of trying to achieve status, whatever you want to call that, it's it comes from an ego place rather from a serving place. And when you peel apart all the layers of that onion, because you have to go through that, I think that there's it's a rite of passage or something. It becomes nothing compared to being able to get results from the people that you serve. And I would take one one moment of watching the lights go on in somebody's eyes, or being able to watch the pain go away in one person's body, than all of the accolades that anybody can give, because the accolades, that's it. That's all that they are. But to be able to actually contribute to somebody, it's something that can't even be explained. It's something that it changes your life, it changes the way that you see things, it changes perspective, and it changes your purpose. Okay, so in order to shatter your glass ceiling, there is one thing that is super important to understand. You never get what you deserve. You get what you tolerate. And so there's some key questions that are super important to ask, and so that you can get really honest with yourself and be clear on what it is that you want, what you deserve, and so that you can push past where you are to really where you want to be. So, what do you think you deserve? What do you believe you're worthy of? Who do you compare yourself to? More importantly, why? You are one person that has shown up on planet Earth to be unique. You don't need to die a copy. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody else. Your only job in this life is to be the best version of yourself, do your best, and share your gifts. What do you think you know? There is unlimited knowledge. You've only got a tiny little piece. And the ideas that you need will always show up in front of you. You just have to make a decision, and you have to take a step, and then the bridge will come, right? So don't limit yourself by what you think you know. What do you believe when you think you should? Guilt is no way to set a plan. You have to make sure that you decide what you want. Don't feel guilty about it. Own it and move towards it. What is your conscience holding on to? The past doesn't need to be a part of your future. It's a past for a reason. And getting really clear on how you are allowing yourself and others to treat you is also key in knowing what you deserve, because a lot of times other people's opinions are dictating your worth, and other people's opinions have nothing to do with it. So own your worth and increase it, multiply it, times it by 1,000. And then your gifts that you share will be received and they will be multiplied. So what are the shoulds, woulds, coulds, and what ifs manipulating you into believing about yourself and what is really possible for you? In order to do that, we have to take a really close look at the habits that you formed, because your habits are what's keeping you on repeat, and those habits are your constant. So what purpose are your habits forming? Because that's what your life is actually looking like today. So all of this sounds really easy, right? I mean, change your thoughts and all of a sudden life is perfect, you get exactly what you want. Yeah, not exactly. Because have you ever heard of a New Year's resolution? Gym membership? How about meditation practice? It's really easy to hit the pillow first thing in the morning, or my meditation pillow. But some days you would just prefer to sleep. You have to push past that and do it anyway. Diets. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. People trying to lose weight. And it's easy. Eat healthy food and exercise. Well, it's not so easy because we sabotage ourselves. And retraining your subconscious, it takes 40 days to create a new habit. Most people quit after 2 weeks. It's all great when you got the adrenaline going. When that adrenaline stops, you got to have some unstoppable passion in order to push you past the point that you are willing to do what's uncomfortable, because comfort is powerful. And 9 times out of 10, the sucker wins. So that was the first mistake. The second mistake is choosing self-abuse rather than self-love. Now, I have 5 questions for you. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I love you? When was the last time you spent a whole day reminding yourself of all the amazing things that you have accomplished and celebrated them? When was the last time you were the #1 fan of your own fan club? When was the last time you beat yourself up for doing something and then worried about how someone else thought or felt after? When was the last time you dwelled on what you don't have, what you don't want, what you want to, or what you have to do, compared yourself to others, felt not good enough, undeserving, mistreated, and taken for granted? I have a bad news story for you. Your subconscious doesn't understand the negative. It only understands the positive. If you want something, you better not want it, because that is lack mentality, and that is going to the restaurant of life and saying, I want this, translated, I can't have it because I don't know how to get it. When you want something, you have to feel like you already have it. So, I mean, yeah, it's okay to set goals, but you have to do it in a way that your subconscious understands it as a positive, not as a negative. If you want it, it's negative. So you have to figure out how to fix that. And it's unique for everybody. We didn't come with a manual. It's your job to do the inside work to figure out how to do that, but it can't be from a place of longing. So self-abuse versus self-love. And this comes from a place of comfort again. I'm telling you, comfort is our enemy, but we think it's our best friend because it's something that we as humans desire. We always want to feel connected. We want to feel supported. We want to feel appreciated. We want our ego to be boosted. We want to feel, important. But that's not how you grow, because discomfort is what helps you to open up. It's helping you to connect to yourself. It's helping you to stand for what you believe in. It's helping you to get connected to your purpose. And it's uncomfortable because too many times we're focused on getting approval from the outside. Folks, it's an inside job. You have to turn all of that focus in order to get what you really want. And loving yourself has to be the very top of that priority list, because without you, there isn't anything else. And so right now, I'm going to do an exercise to help you shut up your inner critic. Everybody ready? What I want you to do is I want you to clone yourself. So right now, on the right side of you, I want you to put clone 1. And on the left side of you, I want you to put clone 2. Now, in clone 1, I want you to take all of your thoughts out of your head, and I want you to shove them into clone 1. That's where all of your existing thoughts are currently going, about yourself, about your life, about your wants, your dreams, your desires. Chuck it all. You're now empty. Everything is in clone 1. Now I want you to really look at that clone. How long are you going to spend hanging out with that thing? Do you love it? Is it building you up? Is it telling you that you're amazing? Is it motivating? Would you marry it? Or would you run like hell from it? because if you're not willing to spend time with that clone has to be your best friend. It is the one that should be your biggest cheerleader. It's not. And a lot of times, it is a bigger narcissist than any narcissist on planet Earth. Our own minds are assholes. That's the truth. And so, not everybody's. I quite like my clone one now. But the clone one is the one that you have to really take a good look at. There's a reason for it, because that clone helps you grow. It helps you be a better version of yourself. So we can't hate it, but we have to understand our thoughts are feeding each one of these clones. And the one on the clone 2 is the one that I want you to think as your best friend. So clone 2 is the one that is your number one fan. Clone 2 is the one that builds you up, is motivating, is giving you productive ideas in order to reach your goals. It's the ones that's constantly telling you what you can do and seeing your highest potential. That's clone 2. So with every thought that you have, you're either feeding clone 1 or you're feeding clone 2. But if clone 1 needs to go on a diet, you make sure to feed healthy things to your clone 2. And make that clone your best friend. I recommend giving them a name, but give it a name, like the worst name that you can possibly think of, something that makes your skin crawl. And that is your clone 1. Clone 2 is the sexy name. It is the best name that you can think of, where you are going to feel like the person with clone 2. And that is who you're going to focus building a healthy relationship with. Nobody has time for you to pound the hell out of yourself. You need a cheerleader. And it is the quickest, easiest way to do one. So I hope you all have a good clone. Okay, makes sense? Excellent. The third mistake that we make is not knowing your true why. This one is a kicker. So most people look for, when they're setting a goal, is something external. They're doing it for their family. They're doing it for to prove something to somebody. They're doing it for a material thing. They're doing it for, I don't know, whatever story you can come up with. It's always something external. Hate to break it to you, that's a crock. You're lying to yourself. The reason you do anything is selfish. It has to be for you, because it is an inside job. Now, before you're thinking, Kalinda, you are full of it. You might be, but it's it's because the reason we're doing it is for the feeling we get from it. So, for example, if your goal is to do it for your family member, okay, great. You want to help mom, you want to help dad, you want to help sisters, brothers, homeless, whatever you want to help. It's not them that you're helping. It's that feeling that you feel when you're serving, or it's the feeling that you feel when you're contributing, or it's the feeling that you feel when you're making a difference. And that is addicting. That can make you unstoppable. When you're helping the homeless and you feel like you make a difference, that feeling is addictive. Or when you are making or contributing at Christmas time, you're giving those gifts. and you see the looks on the faces as they're opening the presents, you feel good because you made them feel good. It's always an inside job. It's never external. And if you are trying to prove something to somebody, like, I need to go get the Lambo to prove that I'm somebody, you're going to be seriously disappointed, because that emotion, it it doesn't have a foundation to live on. You're always going to keep on wanting more. You're always going to keep on searching for something you're never going to find. Dig in, not out. And know what feeling you're actually chasing. And so your why, it is an emotional state that your soul is trying to get back to. It's not an action, and it cannot be bought. And figuring it out, you are the only person that's going to be able to figure out, because only you is going to know your why. So here I am going to do another exercise. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to see your life in the present, just as it is. And I want you to really be honest with how you feel about your life right now. Your celebrations, because you've had wins. You've had lots of wins you have to give yourself credit for. And just in this moment, recognize where you are, where you've been, and you made it. You had a 100% success rate on getting to today because you're here. Now, I want you to skip ahead. And we're going to skip ahead to 5 minutes before you die. We are fast forwarding to the future. And in 5 minutes before you die, I want you to think about, who do you have with you? What's important? 5 minutes before you die, there's a lot of things that no longer matter. It's 5 minutes. What good memories do you have with you that you can remember? What do you wish that you wouldn't have focused on? What did you waste your time doing? What didn't you do that you wish that you would have fought a little bit harder for? What do you wish that you would have done? In 5 minutes, what are the things that are really important with you that you're going to hold on to for those last 5 minutes? Okay. We're going to leave your future self for just a minute, and we're going to come back to today. And I want you to think about what things you would promise your future self you would do. And before we stay here too long, we're going to go to the past. And we're going to go back to your 17-year-old self, your 16-year-old self. And we're going to talk to that terrified teenager that has all the ideas and none of the answers. And we are going to think about how brave they had to be in order to get you to where you are today, because they did a fantastic job. The mistakes that they made were powerful lessons for what you needed to have in order to get to where you are. They had all the same fears. They had all the same worries. They had all the same anxieties. They had all the same judgments. And somehow, some way, they found a way to work through all of that crap and get you to where you are today. And so what I want you to do with that 16 or 17-year-old teenager is I want you to thank them for being brave, for being resourceful, for being curious, for doing everything that they needed to do in order to get you to where you are. Okay. And now I want you to come back to today with all of the gratitude from the teenager of the past and all of the wisdom and knowledge from your future self. You have all your hopes and dreams ahead of you. You have all the worries behind you, and you have all possibilities to today. And now I want you to promise your future self that you will do whatever it takes for them to enjoy the last 5 minutes. We're coming back. Everybody with me? Good. Okay. So mistake number 4. It is buying into comfort rather than discipline. Comfort is always going to try to sabotage you. It is important, once you decide what you want, to be disciplined enough with that unstoppable power to stay committed to your goals. And to do that, it takes repetition, it takes commitment, it takes planning, and it takes a schedule. If it's not on your calendar, someday is not on your calendar. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Christmas Day, Easter Day. No, someday. Put it on your calendar and be disciplined. The other thing that is really important is pick one thing. It is 40 days to do a habit. You can't do 10 habits at one time. Pick one thing, focus on it, and keep on going with that one thing until it becomes your automatic. Once it becomes your automatic, it's okay. It's like brushing your teeth, right? And I want you to focus on which one of these things are you going to focus on doing first. Most people are stuck in the do, have, be mentality. You have to do it to have it, and then you will be, right? You have to do some work, and then you'll have the money, and you will be where you want to be with whatever you have. It's backwards. You have to be it first. You have to feel it first. You can't want it first. You have to be there first. Then the idea is going to come that you're going to have to take action on. You're going to have to do it. And then you have it. Make sense? Why well-being wins the battle? Because nothing is more important than that emotion that is your why. If you can connect to what you really want, what it feels like to serve, what it feels like to be in that place, that selfish place of that emotion of giving or serving or being. That is what your subconscious is going to help you to fight for. And feeding that every day, while you're feeding your clone too, is going to get you exactly where you want to be. Because working on your self-love and feeling like you've accomplished something, it's going to feed your soul. And when you feed your soul, it's going to want more. And it's what's going to make you your priority. You don't know what you don't know. And there are unlimited possibilities. When I sit on my meditation pillow in the morning, I have a window that I look out of and I watch the sun rise. That's how I do it. And one of the thoughts that I think first thing in the morning when I'm sitting there in my house on my tiny little pillow being super small, there are unlimited possibilities between me and that sun. And how much don't I know? And then it's the weirdest thing because I know how I want to feel. I know how I want to show up. And all of a sudden I get phone calls or something appears or an opportunity happens. I couldn't have planned it if I tried because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know the people, the places, the things that are going to get me to where I want. But it's a way that the universe always supports you. I don't care if you call it God, source, universe, whatever. You're connected. And it's there to support you. And it always supports you in how you feel. If it can give you what you don't want, it sure as hell can give you what you do want. And Andy Andrews, that mentor that I had met in Nashville, one of the things that he always says is change happens in a second. Deciding to change is what takes time. So you have to decide to give up control and figure out how you really want to feel, and then all things are going to come and support you. Mistake number 5 is letting opportunity pass because it appears in a disguise. When things show up, it's never how you think. It's not how you order, but it's what you need. And so, have you ever heard the story? There's somebody praying for something, the boat, right? They're praying that the boat is going to come and save them because there's a flood. And there's somebody that comes and there's a raft and no, that's not good enough. And somebody else comes and says, I'm gonna give you this dinghy. No, because they're thinking it's a cruise ship. Well, then the person drowns. Well, no kidding, because there were 10 things that showed up to help you. It's just not the cruise ship that you were expecting, right? So always pay attention to the little things because those little things become the really, really big things. Everything always happens for you. It never happens to you. And so it's really easy to get on the defensive. But when you figure out what you really want, when you become unstoppable, you become unapologetic for saying yes and saying no. The one most valuable lesson that my mentor had given me was make sure you have a mission statement. When you have a mission statement, everything becomes easier. So, for example, my mission in life is to help people heal emotionally, physically, and mentally. That's it. That's my mission statement. If it's not in alignment with me helping people heal emotionally, physically, or mentally, I get to say no. And it's an easy decision. And so if you take time and really sit down and think, what is your mission statement in this life? Making the decisions for you, and it becomes easier. Your yes is your yes, and your no is your no. And always expect that fear is going to show up. And fear is what leads to amazing places because it takes you out of your comfort zone. The most important thing is just breathe, don't hold your breath, and persist. So the benefits of working on your mindset is it actually can help relieve pain. I didn't know that Emotion can cause physical pain. It was a memo I never got. It can help relieve stress because things are so much easier. It eliminates exhaustion. It increases your vitality, it increases your motivation. It helps you get more energy, and you get to be happy. But there's a couple of challenges with it too, because when you start working on your mindset, the past starts to creep up. And it's because it's like cleaning out your closet. It gets really messy before it gets the way that you want it. You have to learn how to check things out. And in that process, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. You might get tired. There's a lot more negative thoughts than ever because you're going through your crap. Sometimes there's heartache, sometimes there's stress, sometimes there's anxiety, sometimes it's physical aches and pains, but it's all just coming to the surface to be cleared. You don't get attached to it again. You just have to process it. It's oh, that's interesting. Why am I thinking about that today? And so what is your plan? What are you going to do to decide?